Do you know why most people fail before they even start? It's not because they lack talent, opportunity, or even discipline. It's because they've been trained to doubt themselves and then waste energy trying to prove themselves to everyone else. But what if you could learn the art of believing in yourself so strongly that you no longer need the approval, applause, or validation of others? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could be the exact shift that changes everything for you in 2025. Self-belief is the invisible force that drives every great achievement in life, and without it, no amount of talent, skill, or opportunity can truly manifest into lasting success. When you look at the people who rise from the bottom to the top, who break through barriers that seemed impossible, and who defy the odds that were stacked against them, you will find that it all started with an unwavering belief in themselves. It is not external circumstances that shape destiny as much as the inner conviction that says, "I am capable, I am worthy, and I will make this happen." The truth is, the world often doubts you before you even open your mouth. People will project their insecurities, their fears, and their limitations onto you. If you don't build a shield of self-belief, their words will become your reality, and you'll end up living a life that belongs to them, not to you. This is why self-belief is not optional. It is foundational. It is the seed that must be planted before the tree of success can grow, and without that seed, everything else will collapse under pressure. Believing in yourself is not about arrogance or empty confidence. It is about acknowledging your potential even when evidence around you suggests otherwise. There will be moments when you don't have results yet, when you're still in the preparation phase, and when nobody around you can see what you see in your own heart and mind. Those are the moments where self-belief becomes the lifeline that keeps you moving forward. Imagine an athlete training in silence for years, waking up before sunrise, enduring pain and sacrifice without a crowd cheering them on. What carries them through those unseen seasons is belief. The belief that the hours invested in sweat and sacrifice will eventually produce greatness. If they required applause in the training stage, they would have quit long before the finish line. Likewise, in your own life, there will be seasons where nobody claps, nobody notices, and nobody encourages you. And yet, if you cultivate self-belief, you will be able to keep walking when others stop. Self-belief also rewires how you interpret failure. Without it, every setback feels like confirmation that you're not good enough. Every rejection feels like a closed door forever. And every mistake feels like proof that you should quit. But when you believe in yourself, failure becomes feedback. Rejection becomes redirection. Mistakes become lessons that sharpen your skills. The person who has self-belief can endure more failures than the average person because they never attach their identity to the outcome of a single attempt. They know that the attempt is part of the process, and the process is leading them toward mastery. Think of Thomas Edison, who conducted thousands of experiments before inventing the light bulb. If he lacked self-belief, he would have quit after 100 failed attempts. But he saw every failure not as proof of inability, but as progress toward a solution. That is the essence of believing in yourself. It gives you the endurance to outlast disappointment until your breakthrough arrives. Another critical aspect of self-belief is that it unlocks boldness. When you don't believe in yourself, you hesitate, you second-guess, and you play small. You miss opportunities because you tell yourself you're not ready or not qualified. But when you cultivate genuine self-belief, you take risks that others shy away from. You speak up in rooms where silence dominates. You step forward when everyone else steps back. This boldness doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from trusting that you will figure it out along the way. History's innovators and leaders didn't always know exactly how things would work out, but their belief gave them the courage to take the first step. That courage then created momentum, and momentum carried them into success. If you're waiting until you feel perfectly ready, you'll wait forever. Self-belief is what allows you to move before everything is clear, trusting that clarity comes with movement, not before it. Furthermore, self-belief shapes how others perceive you. People often mirror the energy you project. If you carry yourself with doubt and uncertainty, they will doubt you too. If you carry yourself with conviction and quiet confidence, they begin to trust your vision even before they fully understand it. Leaders who inspire teams, entrepreneurs who attract investors, and visionaries who move nations all have one thing in common. They believe so strongly in their mission that others can't help but feel it. Your belief becomes contagious, and it creates an atmosphere where people want to align with you because they sense your certainty. But if you don't believe in yourself, no amount of persuasion will convince others to believe in you either. The absence of self-belief is what keeps people trapped in mediocrity. They settle for less, not because they are incapable of more, but because they never dared to believe they were worthy of more. They let opportunities slip by, they hide their talents, and they silence their dreams out of fear that they might fail or be judged. This is why self-belief is the foundation. You cannot build higher than the strength of your foundation. You may acquire skills, knowledge, and connections, but without belief, you will sabotage your own potential by shrinking back when life calls you forward. Every great building requires a strong foundation, and in the same way, every great life requires the unshakable foundation of self-belief. Silence is one of the most underrated strengths in the pursuit of greatness, yet it is also one of the most powerful shields you can carry when it comes to protecting your vision. Too many people lose their momentum, not because they lack ambition or because they don't have the capacity to succeed, but because they expose their vision too early to people who cannot understand it. The moment you speak your dream into the wrong environment, you open the door for criticism, doubt, and negativity to invade it. Dreams are fragile in their early stages, like seeds that have just been planted. They require nurturing, care, and protection from harmful elements before they are strong enough to withstand storms. When you talk too much about what you're going to do, you allow those storms of doubt, jealousy, and fear to uproot your seed before it has time to grow. This is why silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is a strategic decision to protect what you are building until it becomes unshakable. When you keep your vision in silence, you create a sacred space where it can develop without interference. Consider an architect who draws up the plans for a skyscraper. He doesn't run around showing his unfinished sketches to every passerby asking for their opinion, because he knows that most people don't have the expertise to understand what those lines mean. In the same way, your vision may not make sense to the majority of people when it is still in blueprint form. If you share it too soon, they will project their limitations onto you, saying things like, "That's impossible," or "You're dreaming too big," or "People like us don't achieve things like that." If you don't have the armor of silence, their words can plant seeds of doubt in your own mind, and doubt has the power to suffocate vision before it even has a chance to live. Silence allows you to hold your vision in an environment where it can breathe freely and grow strong without being choked by the weeds of negativity. Another reason silence is so powerful is that it prevents unnecessary distraction. Every time you talk about what you're going to do, you release energy. You invite conversations, debates, and often resistance that takes away from the focus and energy you need for execution. When you stay silent, you conserve that energy. Instead of wasting time explaining yourself to people who will never see it until it's done, you invest that time into actually doing the work. Many people love to announce their goals loudly, hoping that the declaration itself will somehow hold them accountable. But often what happens is that the announcement gives them a false sense of accomplishment, as if talking about it is the same as achieving it. Silence keeps you grounded. It reminds you that no one needs to know until there is something real to show. It keeps you from seeking validation in words and forces you to seek validation in results. Silence also gives you the gift of privacy during the inevitable failures and adjustments along the way. Every vision has detours. Every dream has setbacks. If you announce everything publicly before it is ready, then every time you fall, it feels like a public failure. That embarrassment alone is enough to make many people quit. But when you move in silence, you can stumble, learn, and adjust without the eyes of doubters watching you. This privacy gives you room to experiment, to fail quietly, and to refine your approach until you find what works. Think about inventors, artists, or entrepreneurs who spent years in obscurity perfecting their craft. They didn't broadcast every misstep. They worked silently until the breakthrough came. Then, when they finally revealed their work, it looked effortless to the world. But what really happened was years of silent grinding behind the scenes. There is also a spiritual dimension to silence. Some visions are given to you in moments of deep clarity or inspiration, and not everyone is meant to hear them. Sometimes the vision is for you alone until the appointed time. Silence is a form of stewardship. It shows that you value the gift of vision enough to protect it from premature exposure. It demonstrates discipline, patience, and trust in the process. When you honor your vision by keeping it in silence, you allow it to align with timing, preparation, and opportunity. Speaking too soon can sabotage all three. There are countless stories of people who revealed their plans early, only to have others steal their ideas, beat them to the finish line, or talk them out of moving forward. Silence prevents these traps. It keeps the treasure safe until you are ready to unveil it in its full strength. Another overlooked power of silence is the way it confuses and disarms opposition. When people can't figure out what you're building, they can't plot against it. When they don't know your moves, they can't block them. Silence creates mystery, and mystery is a form of strength. In a world where everyone is constantly broadcasting their lives and goals for likes and attention, silence sets you apart. It gives you an edge because nobody can anticipate your strategy. They only see the finished product when it arrives, and by then, it's too late for them to stop it. Silence is not hiding. It is moving with wisdom so that your vision is protected from premature resistance. Most importantly, silence shifts your focus from external approval to internal conviction. When you don't announce your vision, the only validation you can rely on is your own belief. This forces you to strengthen your inner conviction, to trust yourself, and to develop resilience. You no longer look around waiting for someone to clap for your dream. You clap for yourself in the quiet. This is where visions are forged into unbreakable realities. Because once you can nurture and protect a vision in silence, you build the kind of inner strength that no critic, no doubter, and no obstacle can destroy. Actions have always been the truest measurement of belief, discipline, and commitment. Yet so many people spend more time talking about what they plan to do rather than actually doing it. Announcements are easy because they cost nothing but words, but actions are costly because they demand sacrifice, consistency, and endurance. When someone loudly declares their intentions but fails to follow through, their words lose power and their credibility diminishes. But when someone chooses to stay quiet and lets their results do the talking, those results carry undeniable weight that cannot be ignored. People may doubt your words, but they cannot deny your actions. That is why actions will always speak louder than announcements. Announcements can be forgotten, dismissed, or mocked, but results force people to pay attention. The world listens when results show up, even if it doubted you in the beginning, and this is why choosing action over constant announcement becomes a critical principle for building success. There is a psychological comfort in making announcements. Studies have shown that when people declare their goals publicly, they feel a temporary sense of satisfaction, as if speaking about the goal is the same as achieving it. This illusion of progress becomes dangerous because it tricks the mind into feeling accomplished before any real work has been done. That is why so many people boldly announce their resolutions at the start of a new year, only to abandon them within weeks. Talking gave them the dopamine rush they craved, but action required the daily grind they weren't ready for. Real achievers understand this trap, and they discipline themselves to find satisfaction not in talking about what they will do, but in seeing measurable progress day by day. They stay silent while they work, and then their results speak so loudly that no announcement was ever necessary. Actions also create evidence that silences critics. Words can be argued with, debated, or dismissed, but results end the conversation. If you say you are going to start a business, people may doubt you. But if, without saying a word, you begin building, selling, and creating value, even your loudest critic is forced to acknowledge that something real is happening. If you say you're going to transform your health, people may laugh. But when your body changes before their eyes through quiet discipline, they can't deny the results. In every arena of life, action is the language that commands respect. Announcements may attract attention temporarily, but actions create lasting influence. You cannot fake sustained results. They are the undeniable fruit of your effort, while words alone are hollow promises that fade with time. Another reason actions carry more weight is that they inspire others more deeply than words ever can. Think about how children learn. They follow the example of what they see, not just what they are told. A leader who constantly talks about excellence but does not embody it will never inspire true commitment from their team. But a leader who demonstrates excellence through action sets a standard that others naturally want to follow. In the same way, people around you will not be transformed by hearing you talk endlessly about your dreams. They will be transformed when they witness your persistence, your dedication, and your results. Inspiration is not born out of grand speeches alone, but out of consistent action that proves what is possible. Actions ignite belief in others because they show that change and progress are achievable. Actions also create momentum that announcements cannot. Words are static. They stay in the realm of ideas and intentions. But action generates movement, and movement creates new opportunities. Once you begin acting, doors start to open that were invisible before. You gain experience, learn lessons, and discover strategies you would never have found if you remained stuck in the phase of talking. Many people spend years announcing their dreams, but never take the first step, and because of that, their dream never becomes reality. Momentum only comes through motion, and motion comes through action. Talking about a marathon doesn't make you a runner. Putting on your shoes and training every day does. Talking about building wealth doesn't create financial freedom. Disciplined saving, investing, and building value does. It is in the doing that momentum is built, and once momentum is present, it becomes far easier to keep going. Actions also protect you from the paralysis of overexposure. When you announce too much, you open yourself up to excessive opinions, and those opinions can drown out your own intuition. You may find yourself adjusting your vision to please others instead of staying true to what you know you're supposed to do. But when you focus on action, you stay grounded in reality. You measure progress by what you are accomplishing, not by how people respond to your declarations. This creates a shield against distraction and keeps you centered on the mission instead of on external approval. Silence paired with action builds strength, while noise paired with inaction builds weakness. The discipline of letting your work do the talking protects your vision from being derailed by outside voices. At the core, actions reveal character. Anyone can make promises, but actions show who you really are. If you say you value health but your actions show otherwise, your true values are revealed. If you say you're committed to success but your actions show laziness, your reality will expose the truth. Character is not proven by what we intend, but by what we consistently do. That is why the people who truly rise in life are not those who constantly announce their greatness, but those who humbly build it step by step through daily action. Over time, their character is revealed through the quality and consistency of their work, and that character becomes the bedrock of lasting success. Belief is the invisible force that turns fragile human beings into unbreakable warriors. Without belief, the smallest setback feels like the end. The slightest rejection feels like proof that you are unworthy. And the first taste of failure convinces you to stop trying. But when you cultivate a deep and unshakable belief in yourself, in your purpose, and in the vision you are pursuing, that belief becomes the armor that allows you to withstand blows that would crush others. Resilience is not built by avoiding challenges, but by enduring them without breaking. And the only way to endure them is through belief. Belief tells you that even though today looks difficult, tomorrow still has hope. Belief whispers that even when everyone else doubts, you are capable of finding a way. Belief transforms obstacles into stepping stones, turning what was meant to destroy you into the very material that strengthens you. When you face adversity, belief shapes how you interpret the experience. People without belief see obstacles as signs that they should stop, But people with belief see obstacles as training grounds. Every hardship becomes proof that they are being stretched, sharpened, and prepared for something greater. Belief gives pain a purpose, and when pain has a purpose, it becomes bearable. A resilient person is not someone who never falls, but someone who refuses to stay down after falling, and what gives them the strength to rise again and again is their belief. Belief tells you that falling is part of the process, that setbacks are temporary, and that your story is still being written. Without belief, resilience cannot exist, because resilience requires hope, and hope cannot survive without belief. Belief also determines the size of your endurance. Imagine two runners facing a marathon. One believes he cannot finish, and the other believes he can. Physically, they may both feel pain, exhaustion, and the urge to quit, but the one with belief has a greater reservoir of resilience. His belief allows him to push through the discomfort because he interprets his fatigue not as a signal to stop, but as proof that he is moving closer to victory. Belief expands your capacity to suffer for a purpose. It strengthens your tolerance for temporary discomfort because you are convinced that what you are enduring will eventually lead to the outcome you desire. Without belief, resilience is short-lived, but with belief, resilience can carry you through years of struggle without letting your spirit collapse. Belief builds resilience by anchoring you in identity rather than in outcomes. When people attach their worth to outcomes, every failure feels like a personal attack on their value. But when you believe in who you are at your core, you can withstand temporary failures without losing your sense of self. Belief allows you to say, "This didn't work, but that doesn't mean I am a failure." It separates the event from your identity. This distinction is powerful because it keeps you standing tall even when external circumstances collapse. Belief roots you in something deeper than results. It roots you in the conviction that you are capable, worthy, and equipped to try again. This identity-driven belief fuels resilience because no matter how many outcomes fail, you never stop believing in the person who is striving. Another way belief builds resilience is through perspective. People with belief look at setbacks and see lessons, while people without belief look at setbacks and see dead ends. Belief reframes challenges as opportunities for growth. It allows you to ask, "What can I learn from this? How can this shape me for the next step?" Instead of being crushed by the weight of difficulty, belief turns difficulty into a teacher. Over time, this perspective creates an internal toughness because you are no longer intimidated by obstacles. You expect them, embrace them, and extract wisdom from them. This makes you resilient, not because life becomes easier, but because your perspective makes you stronger. Belief also gives you the courage to begin again after defeat. Many people never recover from their failures because they convince themselves that trying again would be pointless. But those who believe in themselves understand that every new attempt carries the possibility of success, and therefore they keep going. This willingness to start over, to rebuild after loss, and to rise after falling is the essence of resilience. Belief gives you the energy to restart, no matter how many times it takes. History is filled with inventors, leaders, and visionaries who failed repeatedly but continued to rise because their belief was stronger than their disappointment. Without belief, their resilience would have died long before their breakthrough arrived. Belief also builds resilience through patience. Success rarely comes quickly, and the long seasons of waiting often break people who lack belief. When progress feels slow, when results don't appear, and when the journey feels endless, it is belief that allows you to remain steadfast. Belief reminds you that just because you don't see results yet doesn't mean nothing is happening. Seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface, and belief gives you the patience to wait for your own harvest. This patience prevents you from giving up too early, and that endurance is what keeps you resilient in seasons where everything seems stagnant. Finally, belief builds resilience by creating a vision of the future that pulls you forward. Resilient people are not superhuman. They feel pain, they feel doubt, and they feel tired just like anyone else. But what separates them is that they have a picture of the future so vivid that it keeps pulling them through the present. That picture comes from belief, belief in their potential, in their purpose, and in the possibility that tomorrow can be better than today. This future vision gives them the will to survive the present challenges, no matter how heavy they feel. Belief creates hope, and hope sustains resilience, making it possible to endure what others would walk away from. Silence is one of the most powerful tools for creating unshakable focus. Yet it is often overlooked in a world that glorifies noise, constant communication, and endless announcements of every thought and intention. Focus is the ability to channel your energy, your thoughts, and your actions toward a single objective without being scattered by distractions, and silence is the environment that makes this possible. When you practice silence, you cut off the external noise that constantly pulls your attention in different directions, and you eliminate the internal noise that comes from trying to explain yourself, defend your ideas, or justify your vision to people who may not even understand it. Silence becomes a filter that keeps unnecessary distractions out and allows clarity to come in. The moment you begin to keep quiet about your moves, you free up mental space to concentrate on what truly matters, the work itself. Noise creates chaos, but silence creates order, and in order, focus thrives. When you constantly talk about what you are going to do, you unconsciously scatter your focus. Every time you announce your goals to others, you invite their opinions, judgments, and doubts into your mental space. Suddenly, instead of focusing on executing your plan, your mind is preoccupied with questions like, what do they think of me? Do they believe I can do this? How do I prove them wrong? This mental chatter becomes a distraction that steals focus from the task at hand. Silence eliminates this entire problem, because when you are not explaining yourself to others, you don't have to manage their responses. You don't have to defend your dream or waste energy worrying about whether others approve of it. All your energy remains concentrated on the actual work, and that level of undivided focus accelerates progress more than any amount of talking ever could. Silence also eliminates the temptation to chase validation. Many people announce their goals loudly because they crave recognition before they have achieved anything. They want the applause, the encouragement, or even the admiration that comes from stating bold intentions. But chasing validation is dangerous because it diverts your focus away from execution and toward performance. You begin working for approval instead of working for progress. The problem with this is that validation is temporary, but focus on the process is permanent. When you stay silent, you remove the need for outside validation, which forces you to rely on your own internal motivation. Your focus shifts from, do they see me? To, am I actually doing the work that matters? That shift creates an internal discipline that multiplies your ability to stay consistent and focused. Silence sharpens the mind by reducing sensory overload. We live in an age of endless noise. Notifications, opinions, commentary, and chatter fill every moment of our lives. When your mind is bombarded with too much input, your focus becomes fractured, jumping from one thought to another without depth. But silence creates space for clarity. When you withdraw from constant noise, your mind begins to calm, and you are able to hear your own thoughts clearly. Focus requires clarity, and clarity requires silence. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history came not in moments of noise, but in moments of silence, when thinkers, creators, and innovators withdrew from the chaos of the world and allowed themselves to dive deeply into their work. Silence is not emptiness. It is the soil where great ideas take root and grow strong. Another way silence creates focus is by teaching you the discipline of restraint. The urge to talk, to share, to announce is a form of distraction disguised as productivity. It feels good to say, I'm going to do this. But the satisfaction of saying it can trick you into thinking you've already made progress. Silence forces you to restrain that urge, and in doing so, it teaches you to redirect that energy into action. Every time you resist the temptation to talk about your plans, you train your mind to stay disciplined and focused on execution instead. Over time, this builds a habit of prioritizing action over talk, which naturally increases your focus because you no longer waste time dispersing your energy through unnecessary words. Silence also protects you from premature exposure. When you announce your intentions too early, you create unnecessary pressure that can fracture your focus. Suddenly, instead of calmly building in private, you feel the eyes of others watching, waiting to see if you succeed or fail. This external pressure can create anxiety, and anxiety splits focus. You begin to worry about perception rather than progress, which weakens your ability to give your best energy to the work itself. Silence removes this pressure because nobody knows what you're working on. You have the freedom to experiment, to adjust, and even to fail without the distraction of an audience. This freedom keeps your mind calm and concentrated, which is the perfect environment for deep focus. Furthermore, silence creates alignment between thought and action. When you speak too much about your vision, you risk dispersing your energy in multiple directions. Your words go one way, your thoughts go another, and your actions often lag behind. But when you stay silent, all three begin to align. Your thoughts concentrate on the work, your actions follow through with precision, and your energy is not wasted explaining yourself to others. This alignment magnifies focus because every part of you is moving in the same direction, free from the fragmentation that excessive talking creates. Focus is not just about doing less. It is about aligning all of your mental, emotional, and physical energy toward a single purpose, and silence is what allows that alignment to take place. Silence also forces you to become intentional with your time. When you're not talking endlessly about what you want to do, you suddenly realize you have more time and energy to actually do it. Talking consumes time, but silence gives it back to you. It allows you to redirect the hours you might have spent in conversation into productive work that moves you closer to your goals. This shift from talk to action increases focus because it prioritizes doing over declaring. Every hour spent working in silence sharpens your focus further because you begin to see progress, and progress reinforces discipline, which deepens focus even more. True confidence is not built on the shaky foundation of external validation. It is built on the unshakable belief that your worth, your ability, and your purpose do not require permission from anyone else. The problem many people face is that they confuse confidence with approval. They think that being confident means everyone agrees with them, claps for them, or recognizes them, but that is not confidence. That is dependence. Real confidence is quiet, steady, and self-sustaining. It does not rise when people cheer and fall when people criticize. It remains constant because it is anchored internally, not externally. When you understand that your value is not dictated by the opinions of others, you begin to operate from a place of freedom. You stop waiting for someone else to validate your decisions, your dreams, or your efforts, and you start moving boldly because you know that confidence comes from within. The danger of needing validation is that it places your power in the hands of others. If you depend on people's applause to feel confident, then their silence will make you feel insecure. If you need their agreement to believe in your vision, then their doubt will make you hesitate. If you require their encouragement to take action, then their criticism will paralyze you. That is a dangerous way to live because it means your confidence is fragile and conditional. But when you develop the kind of confidence that does not need validation, you reclaim your power. You no longer measure your worth by the shifting opinions of others. Instead, you measure it by the standards you set for yourself and the inner conviction that you are capable of rising to the challenges before you. That kind of confidence cannot be taken away because it does not depend on anyone else. Confidence that doesn't need validation is born from self-trust. It comes from knowing that you can depend on yourself to show up, to do the work, and to figure things out even when circumstances are uncertain. Many people look for validation outside because they don't trust themselves inside. They want someone else to reassure them that they are on the right path because they haven't built the habit of trusting their own instincts. But when you practice self-discipline, when you keep promises to yourself, and when you push through challenges, you build a track record with yourself. That track record becomes the foundation of your confidence. You no longer need validation from others because you have evidence within yourself that you are capable. Every time you overcome an obstacle or complete a commitment, you deposit into the account of self-trust, and over time, that account grows into unshakable confidence. Another truth about confidence is that it is strengthened in solitude. When you are constantly surrounded by voices, opinions, and feedback, it is easy to mistake noise for direction. But when you spend time alone, reflecting, working, and listening to your own intuition, you begin to realize that confidence is an inner conversation, not an external one. Silence becomes a teacher because it forces you to listen to yourself rather than to the applause or criticism of others. In that silence, you learn to stand firm on your own convictions without needing confirmation. Great leaders, creators, and innovators often had to walk through seasons of isolation where no one understood or supported them. It was in those seasons that their confidence was forged, not by validation, but by vision. They saw something within themselves and believed it long before the world recognized it. Confidence that does not need validation also liberates you from comparison. When you crave validation, you inevitably compare yourself to others, because you measure your worth by how well you stack up in their eyes. But when your confidence is internal, you stop competing for attention and start focusing on growth. You understand that your path is unique, your purpose is specific, and your pace is your own. You are no longer distracted by who is ahead of you or who seems to be doing better, because your confidence isn't tied to comparison, it's tied to conviction. This freedom allows you to focus your energy on mastering your craft, improving yourself, and fulfilling your own mission rather than chasing the fleeting satisfaction of external validation. Confidence, without the need for validation, also brings peace in the face of criticism. No matter what you do in life, there will always be people who misunderstand you, doubt you, or even oppose you. If your confidence is tied to their validation, their criticism will shatter you. But if your confidence is rooted within, criticism becomes nothing more than background noise. You are able to filter it, take what is useful, and discard the rest without letting it destabilize you. This resilience is the mark of someone who has mastered true confidence. They don't crumble when others disapprove, because their approval comes from themselves and from their belief in the work they are doing. This makes them unstoppable because external resistance cannot shake internal certainty. Another aspect of confidence that doesn't require validation is that it naturally commands respect. People are drawn to those who exude quiet confidence because it signals strength, security, and authenticity. You don't have to beg for respect or validation when you carry yourself with self-assurance. People sense it and respond to it. Paradoxically, the less you need validation, the more validation tends to come, because true confidence is magnetic. But the difference is that you don't rely on it. You receive it as a byproduct, not as fuel. This allows you to remain steady regardless of whether people are praising you or ignoring you. You stay grounded in who you are and what you are building, and that steadiness is what makes your confidence unshakable. Confidence that doesn't need validation is also essential for pursuing big dreams. The larger your vision, the less likely people are to understand it at first. If you depend on their validation, you will shrink your vision down to fit their understanding. But if your confidence is internal, you can hold on to a vision that seems impossible to others until it becomes undeniable through results. This kind of confidence gives you the courage to walk alone if necessary, to stay consistent when nobody else believes, and to trust the process when the outcome is not yet visible. Big dreams require big resilience, and big resilience requires confidence that does not need validation. Greatness is not something that needs to be announced, shouted, or declared to the world. It is something that is revealed through undeniable results, through consistent action, and through the quiet but powerful impact that cannot be hidden. Many people spend their time telling the world how great they are going to be, how much they will accomplish, and how different they are from everyone else. But history teaches us that the ones who truly leave their mark on the world rarely spend time announcing their greatness. They demonstrate it through their work, their character, and the legacy they leave behind. Declarations can be ignored, mocked, or forgotten, but revelations cannot be denied. When greatness is revealed, it is evident to everyone, even to those who once doubted. It speaks for itself louder than any declaration ever could, and that is why true greatness requires no announcement. The problem with declaring greatness too soon is that it often becomes a substitute for the work required to actually achieve it. Talking about greatness feels easier than quietly building it. Many people use declarations as a shortcut to feel significant, to gain recognition, or to attract attention before they have done the work. But greatness cannot be faked, and time will always reveal whether your words had substance or not. Those who declare loudly but fail to produce results eventually lose credibility, while those who quietly put in the work eventually let their results silence every doubt. Greatness revealed through results carries a weight that no amount of words can replicate. It cannot be argued with, because the evidence is visible and undeniable. Greatness is revealed through consistency. Anyone can perform well for a moment, but greatness is proven over time, through the discipline of showing up day after day, regardless of obstacles. Consistency turns ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes. A single declaration may grab attention, but it is consistency that sustains greatness until it becomes undeniable. Think of an artist who creates masterpiece after masterpiece, or an athlete who delivers excellence season after season, or an entrepreneur who builds not just one success, but many. Their greatness is not something they have to declare. It is revealed through the consistency of their actions. The world sees it, feels it, and acknowledges it without needing to be told. Another way greatness is revealed is through the impact it leaves on others. True greatness is not self-centered. It multiplies itself by lifting others, by inspiring people, and by leaving something lasting behind. You don't have to declare that you are great if your life is changing other lives, if your work is impacting generations, and if your influence continues even after you are gone. The greatest leaders in history did not spend their lives declaring themselves as great. Their greatness was revealed by the lives they touched and the transformations they sparked. Their actions and influence outlived their words, and that is the truest measure of greatness. It is not about how loudly you can declare yourself, but about how deeply your presence can affect the world around you. Greatness is also revealed through resilience in the face of adversity. Anybody can look confident when everything is easy, but greatness shines brightest when circumstances are darkest. The ability to endure hardship, to rise from failure, and to keep pushing forward despite opposition reveals greatness far more than any declaration ever could. Declarations made in comfort mean little, but resilience demonstrated in struggle speaks volumes. When the world sees someone continue to rise after every fall, when they see consistency in the face of rejection, when they see perseverance despite obstacles, they cannot deny that greatness is being revealed before their eyes. Struggle exposes the real substance of a person, and those who carry greatness within them prove it by enduring what others cannot. Another important truth about greatness is that it does not seek recognition. It attracts it naturally. When someone is constantly declaring their greatness, it often comes from insecurity or from the need to be noticed. But when someone is focused solely on their work, their mission, and their craft, they don't need to seek recognition because recognition finds them. Greatness revealed through action and results has a magnetic quality. It draws respect, admiration, and influence without asking for it. This is why the greatest people are often humble, quiet, and focused. They don't have to boast because their lives speak louder than any words. Their greatness is not in their declarations, but in their demonstrations, and that is why it cannot be ignored. Greatness is revealed in private long before it is celebrated in public. The hours of practice, the years of preparation, and the sacrifices made behind the scenes are what eventually manifest into visible greatness. People see the revelation, but not the preparation. They see the stage performance, but not the lonely rehearsals, the championship, but not the early morning training, the success, but not the sleepless nights of building. This is why declarations are empty if they are not backed by unseen discipline. True greatness grows in silence until it is strong enough to reveal itself, and by the time the world notices, it is undeniable. Declarations without preparation crumble, But preparation without declarations eventually reveals itself in the form of greatness that speaks louder than words. Finally, greatness is revealed through authenticity. Declarations often feel forced, as if someone is trying to convince the world of something they don't fully believe themselves. But when someone is authentic, living in alignment with their values, pursuing their purpose with passion, and remaining true to themselves, their greatness naturally reveals itself. Authenticity is magnetic because it is rare in a world full of pretense and noise. People are drawn to those who are real, who walk their talk, and who live with integrity. That authenticity, combined with consistency, resilience, and impact, creates a greatness that does not need to be declared. It shines through every action, every choice, and every result until it becomes impossible to ignore.